Hello and welcome. I'm Carol, a licensed therapist, and this is Redefining 40 Plus, the channel for women over 40 to live their best life. And part of living your best life is also being healthy. And one of the things that stresses us out as much as trying to maintain our health is dealing with health insurance. And I thought I would hop on and talk a little bit about health insurance just in general, how it works, what some of the terminology is, and some things you want to know when you go to use your health insurance. So the first thing I want to talk about is, so I just want to clarify with health insurance in the US, you have your health insurance company, like the major company like Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Cigna, Aetna. You have those companies, and within those companies you have your plans, and these companies have many plans across many states and through many employers. If you're getting your health insurance through an employer, if you're getting it through a group, if you're getting it through the marketplace. So just sort of boiling it down to your plan, these are some general things you want to know about your health insurance when you're figuring out how to use your plan, because sometimes we just don't know what all of this means until we actually go to use it. So the first thing I want to talk about is in and out of network. So some plans have both in and out of network, some plans don't. Some plans are just in network. And usually in-network plans are referred to as HMO or EPO, and out-of-network plans are PPO. So you can have both on a certain plan or just the one. If you have both, so if you have out-of-network, that means you can see a provider who is not in the network of the company. So a provider sends in an application to be a part of the network within a certain insurance company, and they are contracted with that insurance company, and by that contract they have to follow certain rules of the company, and they get certain reimbursements. So it's a contract between the provider and the company. And if you see someone out of network, they don't have that contract. So when you see someone in network, typically you are seeing someone who you will only be paying, typically only a copay, put a little asterisk around that, could be a copay. And there are certain things that you're not going to pay more for, put an asterisk next to that. When you are with out of network, you pay what the provider charges, and then you can submit a claim to the insurance company for reimbursement. Now, reimbursement is not, most of the time, is not the full fee of what the provider is charging. So if a provider charges $150 for a service and you submit that to the insurance company has what's called an allowed amount, and that allowed amount is could be, more often than not, is less. So if you paid 150, the allowed amount, let's say, could be 70, and that's what the insurance will send you back. So that's in and out of network. So within either of those, or within your insurance plan, you have your co-payment, which is usually a nominal amount, although it varies. Some people have co-pays as low as $5. Do they still have $5 anymore? I'm not even sure. But they can be up to like $50, $60, even $100 for a co-payment. And then you have also what's called a deductible. So this is where it can start getting confusing. So a deductible is an amount of money that the insurance company says you have to reach before your plan goes into effect, or certain parts of your plan go into effect, or the whole plan. And the deductible, that amount varies from plan to plan. It varies if you're an individual or if you're a family. Family deductibles are typically higher than individual deductibles, but I've seen individual deductibles as much as like $5,000, $8,000. A lot depends, again, on the plan that you choose. Some people choose a plan with a higher deductible because the cost of the plan, the overall cost of the plan, is less. But the thing to keep in mind about deductibles is if you have an in-network and a plan with in and out of network benefits, you will have two separate deductibles. It's not one deductible for both. So if you see someone out of network, it's going toward the out of network deductible. If you see someone in network, it's going toward the in network deductible. They do not cross over. So it's kind of like you're fulfilling two deductibles if you have both. Once you fulfill your deductible, let's say you reach that, let's say your deductible is $2,000, you've reached that. And one thing you should know is the amount that the insurance company applies toward a deductible is not necessarily the amount that you paid for the service. So again, much like what I was saying about the reimbursement, where you can get reimbursed, but it's like partial or part, they'll cover the allowed amount. The same thing goes for the deductible. And this could be for in and out of network. So take that same example, you pay a provider $150 for a service, and the allowed amount is $70. If you didn't fulfill your deductible, you're not getting $150 toward your deductible, you're getting $70 toward your deductible. So I hope that makes sense. Once you fulfill your deductible, then you have what's called a co-insurance, not a copay, a co-insurance for certain services within your plan. So a co-insurance is a percentage that, it's a split percentage of what you pay and what the company reimburses the provider if it's a network. So if the co-insurance is 80% and 20%, when you have a procedure or you have an office visit and it falls under your co-insurance, that means you're paying 20% of the allowed amount, and if it's in network, and the company's paying 80% of what they're going to reimburse, of the contracted rate. So it's, as a consumer, if you're looking for what the insurance company will reimburse, that's allowed amount. And if you're the provider, you're looking for the contracted rate. What's the contracted rate that the company, the insurance company, is going to pay you to do that service. So a co-insurance is just the split of the percentage. The co-insurance is what you're responsible for. Co-payment is a fixed amount, and that's for certain services. And a lot of times co-payments apply to office visits. Sometimes if you get your blood drawn at a certain lab, so you always want to check if you have to go for blood work, you must see what companies your insurance plan is covered under your insurance plan, because I've heard many times from people that a doctor sent them for blood work, or they did blood work in the office and it was not covered by insurance, or they had to put in like a dispute for getting reimbursement, because the insurance company is saying, well, you didn't use one of our labs. So always make sure that you use the lab that is that your plan says that you need to use, because the blood work costs can be extremely expensive. So I digressed. Co-insurance and copay is what I was talking about. So the copay is the fixed amount that you pay, like when you go to see your doctor. Sometimes it's 20, 30, 50, like I said, I've seen 100, but that's a fixed amount. The co-insurance fluctuates depending on what the service is. So if you have a co-insurance on tests, on, let's say, on certain diagnostic tests, let's say like your mammogram or ultrasound, well, they cost different amounts. So the amount that you would pay, that would be your responsibility, also fluctuates. I hope that makes sense. So like I said, the co-insurance can be a fluctuating amount, and that starts once you reach your deductible. Until then, you're paying toward that deductible, depending on what the fees are. Hey, okay, there's one thing I forgot to mention is the out-of-pocket max. So you have your deductible, which I said was the amount that you have to fulfill before your aspects of your plan kick in, and before they cover certain amounts, or before your copay can start. So you have your deductible, and you keep accruing toward what's called an out-of-pocket max. And your out-of-pocket max is the amount that once you fulfill it, you no longer have to pay co-insurances or pay your copay. So there's your deductible, and then there's your out-of-pocket max, which kind of brings me into the last thing I want to talk about here, which is balance billing and the no surprises, the good faith estimate and no surprises act. Because there's a little bit of a confusion, and this is something something else that people can really get kind of pulled into and confused and very upset when they find out how much things cost. So the No Surprises Act was established to protect the consumers from being given these surprise bills. You go to a hospital for an emergency, and next thing you know, you're getting a bill from this and this and this, this service, this person, this, this test, and you're thinking, well, this hospital was in my network. And then you find out, well, maybe the hospital's in the network, but some of the doctors aren't, or some of the tests aren't. So the No Surprises Act says that if you're an out-of-network provider, you have to give what's called a good faith estimate for the costs of services and to break down what those services are. And as an out-of-network provider myself, that's what I do. So if someone comes in to see me, once we have our consultation, they're okay with the fact I'm an out-of-network provider, they're okay with my fee. I go over all the out-of-network insurance, what they need to find out if they want to find out how much if they have out-of-network benefits and they want to find out how much they could be reimbursed. I instruct them on what to ask their health insurance provider, and I provide them, along with the paperwork that they fill out, I provide them a good faith estimate of what the cost of services could potentially be. And it's in good faith, so it's not always like it's going to be exactly this, many sessions, or like from a hospital. It's what they, to the best of their knowledge, can foresee what the charges will be, right? Good faith. The one thing you want to be aware of is something called balance billing. So it's known a lot for out-of-network. Balance billing is when there's the cost of service, what you're being reimbursed by your insurance is less, and then you're responsible for the rest of the payment. So a lot of times when you see your provider that's in network, you pay a copay, and the provider, let's say bills $150 to the insurance, you pay your $20 copay, but the insurance is only reimbursing them a total of like, $80, and 20 of that is your copay. So they're only getting, a check or a payment of $60. An in-network provider is not going to come back to you. An in-network doctor is not going to come back to you and say, well, now you owe me the rest, right? Because their contract states that they are accepting, X amount of dollars, even though they'll submit the payment for more. Now, an exception to this, to balance billing, is there are certain outpatient facilities that do balance bill. So you can get into a situation where, let's say you're going to see a neurologist, and you're seeing it through this person through a hospital system, and what happens is the facility will submit a claim to the insurance for the provider, but they will also submit the claim for the facility. So they're submitting two claims. So you may pay your co-payment up front, but then several weeks later you're going to get a bill for the facility, and that's balance billing. So instead of like going to your local doctor's office where you pay your co-payment and that's it, you're not paying extra for the office, with certain hospital networks, they are allowed to do this balance billing. So that is something to actually be on the lookout for. And it's, to my knowledge, it's legal, and it does, it's not every facility, and it's not related to emergency responses. So we're not talking about hospitals, we're talking about like maybe a hospital clinic that's like, it's not in the hospital, or maybe it's non-emergency services that's part of a hospital or a hospital network. But you're seeing a provider in there, so they're going to charge for the facility fee and for the doctor's fee. So when they submit for the doctor, they won't balance bill for the doctor. They'll accept the co-payment, but for the facility, they are, I'll say, allowed to bill for the facility and balance bill. So if they're billing $500 for the facility and your insurance only reimburses like $200, they're sending you a bill for the $300. They are not doing that for the doctor, but they're doing that for the facility. So there's certain instances where balance billing is allowed, and that is for in-network. So that's something very much to keep in mind. So that is it. Whew, that was a lot. I hope you found this helpful and knowledgeable, and that it clarifies some general aspects of health insurance in the U.S., how some of it works and some of the terminology. Any questions or comments, please let me know. Please like and subscribe and share. I'm sure many people can benefit from learning about how their insurance can work, how their insurance works. And thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.